Hey folks, this is Justin at Metcalf Meals. Today I'm going to show you how we can green beans mama's way. Now these are half runners, and we're going to take them from this to this. Put them in the jar for winter, because that's just what this is about. Just like a squirrel squirrels back his nuts, we're going to squirrel back our green beans for this winter. You remember that story Nanny told about that young'un that put that bean up their nose? The little young'un stuck a bean all the way up in their nose and nobody didn't see them do it. That bean sprouted and started growing up into their eye. The doctor had to get it out. We don't ever put beans up our nose, do we?
No way.
We'd be in some serious trouble, huh? A bean vine growing right out of her nose. We picked our green beans and we're been working on getting them all, the strings off all of them, and finished getting these broke, and we're going to get them ready to go in the jar. Getting all the beans broke up, we usually break about 2 or 3 beans per piece. Break them every how many times we need to. It's kind of a bite-sized bean for canning. I'm washing them off really good and then setting them over here before they go in the jar. I'm gonna wash them real good because they got kind of a gray scum on them like the cucumbers. I just want to get them as clean as I can. Everything was different this year with after a rain, things just kind of turn yellow and start going downhill. My taters done that, beans, cucumbers, and then you'd have a random plant of whatever just here or there die with no explanation. Most of the time you can dig up a plant and examine the roots and the stem and kind of figure out what happened to it if there's not enough on the leaves or whatever to tell you. But the things that died, I just couldn't see no good explanation for why they died. So after we get them washed and everything, we'll start putting them in the jars to can. Okay, we got our jars here, 7 quarts to 1 run in the canners I use. Just take our beans. Fill them up about to the shoulder of the jar. I don't like to fill them all the way to the tip top, but up to the shoulder. There's a few shelly beans in this. What that means is you get some beans that have got too big and they've turned yaller on you. We just shell those out, put them right in with the other beans, and you've got nice shelly beans in. And we like them that way, like them better that way really. We put 1 teaspoon canning pickling salt per quart jar of beans. So that's 1 teaspoon per quart. Now, as I said before, I like to use filtered water for all my canning. So, got this Berkey filter here. I fill them up right about the neck, right about this, above the shoulder there. Fill them up to the shoulder, like I said. Do that, and then we'll have everything will be ready to go into the canner. And after that, it'll be ready to eat this winter when the snow's blowing, so you just can't beat it. One thing to watch out for, make sure that you don't get anything stuck up on the rim of the jar, because that can cause them not to seal. You want to be real careful about any kind of a piece of bean or anything stuck to these jars before they go in the canner. You want to keep them really clean, because a piece of trash or something, a piece of bean, can get in there and stop up the steam port on your canner and cause the thing to blow up on you. So be real careful, keep the jars clean so that nothing goes in the canner on the jars. You don't have to tighten the lid super tight. Actually, it's better if you just snug them up, because they have to kind of breathe in the canner, so you don't want them super tight. Just snug them up comfortably is good enough. So, alright, we're ready to put them in the canner. So we fill the canner up with water about 2 inches deep. I don't think you want the water above the shoulders of your jars. This is just regular water, distilled or filtered water, in the jars with the beans. So that water comes up just almost up to right at the bottom of where the shoulder of the jar starts. So that's perfect. You've got a pressure gauge, your weight. Like I said, don't let any kind of piece of bean, any kind of trash get in here with this, because that thing has to breathe, and it's going to do it out this hole. That's where the steam's going to come out. So you've got a pop-up valve. When it gets hot enough, this will pop up and seal it right over here and start building pressure within the canner. And you got a safety pop-off valve right here. Line the marks up with the one on the handle, lock it closed. I'll then turn it around so that I can see the pressure gauge to know how much pressure is building in there. Alright folks, this thing's been on the stove about 30 minutes and it's starting to, you can hear the steam coming out back here at the pop-up valve. What I do when it starts doing that, instead of waiting on it to get enough pressure to lift this thing and seal it, I'll just take something and hold it down and let it build up enough pressure inside the canner. It'll start pushing out. You release it, it'll come up and stay. Then you don't have to sit there and wait on the thing, maybe 10 more minutes. But we'll start watching the gauge now. When it gets up to 10 pounds of pressure, we will adjust our heat to maintain that 10 pounds and time it for 25 minutes for these green beans. Before they had pressure canners, they would boil these beans, water bath them outside in a big, just a wash tub, and Mama said they would put a quilt in there to keep the jars from rocking around and breaking. They put the quilt in the wash tub with the jars wrapped up with boiling water and water bath them and can that way. I'm so glad we got pressure canners. Makes life so much easier. Alright folks, we're at 10 pounds of pressure. About 10 minutes to get there, so we're going to turn our stove down to around medium. And we're going to watch the gauge, and if you don't have a lot of experience canning, you just have to play with it and figure out where on your stove is just right to maintain the temperature. But we're going to set a timer right now for 25 minutes and maintain 10 pounds of pressure. Like I say, you have to watch it close, get to know your stove and your canner's relationship, and what's going to keep your canner hot. So do that, and 25 minutes later you can take this thing off and let it slowly cool down, and you've got 7 quarts of green beans that you can enjoy anytime. They'll keep for a long time. So alright folks, our canner has reached the 25-minute mark on 10 pounds of pressure. We've set it off the stove over on the counter to cool. When it gets cool enough, the back little pop-up pressure valve will go down, and you can then take the lid off. You don't want to rush it, you don't want to push that down or speed it up. You can mess things up and cause your jars not to be right, not to seal right. So you just have to be patient. The best thing to remedy this dead time is just have another canner so you can put another one on as soon as you get this one off, and that way you can keep production going. We use this on a glass top stove. Say you're not supposed to, we always have. It's a second glass top stove we've had in 30 years of canning. A wood stove works really good. That's pretty hot though, but a real good thing is sometimes use a gas burner, a 2i gas burner, and you can put 2 canners on it at a time, and that really speeds things up. You can do it out on the porch or outside somewhere where you don't heat the house up, because canning season, especially beans and stuff's right in the hottest part of the year here in August usually. So, and this other canner I use has a different system. It has don't have the gauge on top to tell the pressure. It has this weight, which is 5 pounds, and if you want 10 pounds, you add another ring. 15 pounds, add another ring. So for the beans, we're gonna take off 1 ring and just have 1 ring on there. There's a lot of different type of canners, but that's the 2 that I use most. On this type of canner, without the pressure gauge, your weight will start jiggling when you reach the proper pressure in the canner. When it starts jiggling, that's when you start timing the time it's going to take to can whatever it is you're canning, which here is green beans. It's 10 pounds of pressure for 25 minutes. It's just started jiggling. We'll look the clock, set our timer for 25 minutes for green beans. Careful of the steam, it will burn you bad. There we go. Ta-da! Nice looking green beans. There you go. Wrap these up. Keep them warm. Alright folks, here we are. Gonna uncan our beans from yesterday and see what kind of a seal we got on these babies. $21 quarts, all sealed. So again, like this video and subscribe please. This is Justin at Metcalf Meals, reminding you to just be you, because you can't make that up. See you next time.